I just realized I can start this recording even before my guest arrives. And this is kind of crazy. Full disclosure, I'm on day 2 of Tanya's crazy diaries. I don't even know what we're going to call this, because I feel like it should not end after the whole virus situation ends, but of course we don't know how long that's going to be. I made one this morning and didn't even get a chance to post it, and then I had to do my first call, and my first call was the crazy surprise that I mentioned to people, which was my ex-husband, who I had to refriend on Facebook in order to make the connection. Well, I suppose I didn't have to, but I did, because I did. And my next call, I'm so excited about. This is my kindergarten art teacher, and kindergarten through 8th grade at the Berks School in San Francisco. I literally have not spoken to her since 8th grade. Okay, so anyway, she was one of the first people to chime in on my first video, and I just thought, cool, I will talk to anyone, and I really do think I have the most awesome, cool friends, so this is so exciting for me. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I think she's still in San Francisco. I guess backstory, I grew up, I was born in Boston. I grew up in San Francisco. So I was there from kindergarten through high school. And then I went back to the Boston area for college. And she can't figure out Zoom, can do FaceTime. I'm gonna pause this and try to sort this out. So here's the deal. We've been having a little chat back and forth about logging into Zoom, and she can't get it to work. And instead of me trying to troubleshoot, I figured she's creative, I'm creative, we're gonna go the creative route here. Okay, ready? So when your technology doesn't work, you just make it work. So I am going to FaceTime her on my phone, and we are going to talk like this on the phone and just see how it goes. Okay, so I'll show her to you. So this, oh my God, this is gonna be weird. All right, so here goes. Ha ha ha, okay. If I go like that, will you see her? Yeah. Miss Swope! Okay, check this out. This is how we're doing it. This is like Tanya's fake FaceTime, Zoom, I don't know what call, because I'm only able to record on Zoom because I can't figure out all of this technology fast enough.
Oh, tell me, Tanya, yes.
So
Great to see you, by the way.
I can't even believe this myself. Like, I can't even believe this. I could barely sleep last night because I was thinking about, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna talk to Miss Swope. And I was like, what art projects do I remember from school?
Oh my God, Tanya.
So I gotta turn up the volume a little bit. Hold on.
All right.
There we go, hold on. Volume, 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 volume. There we go, very high tech. So you wanna know what project I remember the most?
Sure.
Do you remember when we did the face masks?
Yes.
With the
bandage.
The plaster of Paris, with the, yes, like, and you put Vaseline all over your face, and then
yes,
that was my absolute favorite thing ever. And then we painted them.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Really? Oh, good.
Oh yeah.
And I wish that I had done it when I was about 20, of my whole body, like a torso or something. And I thought of it a lot, and I never did it. And I was so mad at myself because, of course, when I was 20, I thought I was fat. And now I I wish I had my 20-year-old body. Oh my God.
But Tanya, with life the way it is now, you could still do it.
You're right. I could still do
You
it.
could do it. You could do a portion of your body. You could do whatever you wanted.
Yes.
Because one wonderful thing about this time, this dreadful time, is we have time to structure in ways that we didn't have before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes.
Can you turn your camera a little more towards you? Yeah, right
Sure.
there. Yeah, right there.
Is that better?
Yeah, I didn't see you. There we are.
Is that good?
There you are.
Okay.
There you are. So, like, is the last time I spoke to you like 8th grade or something?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God, 8th grade. So my 8th grade, I don't know if you remember, was 1984, and we were all talking about George Orwell, and oh, haha, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or no, I guess no,
I
1980. I'm sorry, I was class of 1980 in Berks.
I'll write that down. Yeah.
Because didn't you? I feel like you were still teaching us even in 8th grade. Do we still have art class?
You certainly had that, but I only taught lower school.
Okay, so we were like kindergarten through 5th grade.
So you went through, transition of Pansy Day.
Correct.
Emotional time, and then.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Lots of crying.
Oh yes. But you're doing so well now, it seems to me. I love your Facebook postings.
Thank you.
And your photography.
Thank you. Yeah, my whole life is about art, really.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm a photographer too. And I call myself a visual documentarian.
Mm-hmm.
And my photographs are of just people around me, life around me. And I make them into little books. I've devised a system of doing that on topics. Like I'm a frequenter of coffee houses. I call it my Church of the Coffee House. So I have a book on that, and just life around me, people around me.
Right.
That's my focus.
Nice. So how do you do the book by location, or what's the?
By location and by subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you still in San Francisco?
Oh yeah, I'm talking to you from my little house in San Francisco in the Ingleside. And this is can you see if
Yeah.
Is this?
Yeah, I can see it. Is that a real dog or a fake dog?
Oh God. Oh, Tanya, that is carved of redwood. Ooh. And it's after my beloved dog, Agatha. And I realized she wouldn't live forever. So I commissioned a wonderful woman to perpetuate her.
How fantastic.
It is. It really is.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. It's sort of like me with the body thing. I want my 20-year-old body perpetuated.
Yes.
I could do plaster Paris of my dogs.
Oh, they'd love it.
Yeah, sure. They'd sit still for 2 seconds.
Well, the hair, the issue of the hair.
A total disaster. Yes, I am. I know.
You would have to shave them first.
Oh, no. That's not happening. Wow.
So I love your postings. The story of your photography and your interest in people, and the relationship that is established when you photograph them.
Yes.
Because I do the same thing. Of course.
Well,
of course.
It's funny. I just said this to a woman who's a really good friend of mine. I was talking to her a minute ago. And I said, I'm just doing what I always do. Right now, this is what I do. I connect with people. We have a conversation. And then usually it turns into a photograph because that's what I do. But the reason I love it is because of who I get to meet, who I get to talk to. Like, I just feel like the photography is the gift that I can give them, but truly it's not even why I do it. Like, I just do it, whether it's a wedding or a family or whatever it is, I'm doing it because of the connection aspect.
Yes.
And people have always said, oh, you're such a connector. Oh, you know everybody, which I don't think is true. But honestly, as I step back from it and I look at it, I say, God, I really have these amazing, cool friends. They're everywhere. I'm super excited. Like, I can't even believe I'm talking to you. This is so cool.
I feel the same way.
So were you always, I know you didn't teach photography at Berks, but were you always a photographer?
Yes, it's in my family, actually. My uncle, John Swope, he was married to a movie actress and lived in Beverly Hills. And people loved him, absolutely loved him. And he had a wonderful rapport with people and took photographs the way I think we do. Just seemingly casual, but wonderful. Yes, you can look him up.
Okay, so he's John Swope. Who was he married to?
Dorothy McGuire, who was well known in her time.
Huh.
She was top echelon.
And she lived in Beverly Hills somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
Because
121 Copley Place.
What's that? 121
Copley Place.
So I need to find out where my grandmother used to live, because she also lived in Beverly Hills. And
do you know where she lived? Have you found out?
I can find out. This would be before my time, and she's already passed away. But she, I forget what year she was born, but I'm gonna say 1920 something.
Right. Well, that's the same generation, probably.
So, like, a
little later.
So your mother and my grandmother could have been neighbors, for all we know.
No. I'm talking about my uncle on my father's side.
Uncle on father's side. Okay.
Say John Swope. And it's a little cul-de-sac overlooking the golf course.
Gotcha. All right. I'll dig into that later.
And the house has been torn down.
Of course it has. All the good houses were torn down.
Yeah, and probably now a mega house established there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was wonderful visiting them, and people would drop in. I mean, Audrey Hepburn, Mel Ferrer, because, it's a small town. I mean, it was then a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were hanging out there? Like,
well, not hanging out. I would go down for a visit.
To visit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Were you always a Northern California person?
No, I was born in Philadelphia, and I was in my late 20s when I moved out here.
Wow.
From a suburb of Boston.
Which one?
Newton Corner.
Of course I know Newton. I went to Wellesley College.
Oh, for God's sake.
Come on. There's just no accidents. I'm telling you. Wow.
Yeah, I graduated from Brown.
Oh my God. My sister, do you remember Laura?
I do.
Little Laura?
Yes.
Cute Laura?
Yeah.
So Laura went to Brown for a year. Laura, she has such a crazy story. She went to Haight, not UHS. And she was like a mega star there. She was accepted to Harvard, accepted to Yale. She went to Brown because her boyfriend was there, and regrets that decision to this day. and she just couldn't take Brown, and she was only there for a year or two when she finally moved back to California. So she's like the Californian in her blood. And I did kind of what you did. I switched coasts, and I really haven't been home since high school. So my happy place is usually New York, but I've lived a bunch of places, as you know. So you're a Philadelphia person with roots in Southern California.
Well, no, not really roots, visitations.
Well, but no, family. But you had family in Southern California.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And my Aunt Henrietta, also John's sister, lived in Pasadena. So yes.
Yeah, that's actually I think my grandmother was in Pasadena when I first knew her, and then in Glendale. And my dad was born in Palo Alto. My mom,
Sure.
yeah, my mom was born in Texas. So San Francisco, like, I was going to ask you if you remember the name of my kindergarten teacher, the one who got married. It was like Miss O'Donnell or something.
Say that again.
I think it was Miss O'Donnell or MacDonald, or like we used to.
O'Donnell, maybe. No, I don't remember clearly. No, I don't remember that. No.
Okay. Well, I only remember because that's the first wedding I ever went to, was her wedding.
Okay. Yeah.
So Berks for me was the beginning of my San Francisco life. So had you been there for a few years? So I guess I got there in 1970.
I think I have to think. I think it was 60. No, I'll have to think about that. But it was, I hadn't been there long when you.
So you got there about the same time.
About a little early. Yeah, a little earlier.
Here's a crazy fun fact. My mom went to Berks.
Really?
Yes.
Well,
my mom went to.
Tradition.
She went to Berks when it was a high school at the location of University High School.
Right. Yes.
And she was from Texas, so she had to lose that Texas accent immediately.
Yeah.
I know, crazy. So how did you end up? Well, first, you never get to ask these questions of your teachers. I want to know how you ended up.
You don't.
I know, like, who would know these things? So how did you end up becoming an art teacher, and how did you find Berks, and like, why did you stay there, and what was that like?
Well, shortly after I moved to San Francisco, the end of 1960. So I think I started at Berks in 65. Does that sound right?
Wow.
And I came out. Life was easy then. You found a place, no problem. You found a job. I had trouble. Well, my first job was at the Emporium on Market Street in the sign shop, printing signs for the store. Then I went to a place called Art Jobs Agency, which I found in the Yellow Page, run by this wonderful woman. It was a one-woman establishment, Dora Williams. And there was a vacancy at Berks. So I went out and was interviewed by Miss Malin. Hi. Hi, Han.
I remember. Yes, I used to live on Miss Malin's block.
Oh, geez.
I learned to ride my bike in front of her house.
Well, I've been to her house, yeah, and met Clarence, her husband.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, I was interviewed, and one question she asked me was, how would you run a class? Well, I had no idea, but I said, well, I would get up and I'd explain what we were going to do for the day and then hand out supplies and they would do it. And that's basically what I did.
Wow.
So she hired me.
Wow. Can you turn your camera a little more to your face there? Yeah, right there.
Turning it so I could see you.
Oh, yeah. No, I need to see you.
There you go.
Here, here we are.
And I was interviewed by the head of the whole school, which was out where you know, the old school, Olive Malcolm. And they hired me. It was simple back then, and art was an extra. And basically they would offer it because a private school had to, drama, art, etc.
Wow.
So there wasn't much competition, and so they hired me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love teaching because back then things were simple and the classroom was my kingdom. You get in there and you close the door.
Yes. That was one of my favorite rooms in the whole school, but it's funny, I don't remember where we were before the new building. Because in the new building, you went down the stairs and you had that whole room to yourself, and you had all those great slots for all the paper and the tables were great and the light was amazing in there. Like I remember that room super vividly, but I have no idea where we were before that.
Well, when I started teaching, it was in the kindergarten building. They had
the back of it. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Kindergarten was divided in half by this fighting. Yeah.
Yes. That's where you taught me silk screening.
Oh my God, really?
That was so much fun. I still have my little Mandarin duck that I silk screened.
Oh my God.
And because I put one on one of my uniforms. I have it in a box. It's like precious. Yeah, where we like cut out the green on the photosensitive paper, right?
Yes. Yes.
I remember that was a great room. I learned to type in that room too, which it obviously didn't work, but
well, who needs it?
Exactly. But that's where the dark room was. The dark room was at the back of that sort of connected the kindergarten with the art room. Am I right?
Well, I think you're conflating two places. I can't, because the dark room, I remember, you would go upstairs into the room, or is that
That was in the new building.
Okay.
I'm talking about the old building because I learned it was probably 5th grade. I was already doing yearbook and stuff like that. And, people always ask a photographer, like how you learned, where you learned photography.
Exactly.
And every photographer is like, oh, my dad gave me a camera when I was 2 and da-da-da. Okay, so it took me a long time to own this story. Because my parents, I had this perception like I had the only screwed up family. And,
please.
But you're a kid. You think everyone else is like perfect and awesome and your life is a mess. And my parents were getting divorced. We were going through all kinds of hell at home. And my dad left. And obviously for a little girl, that's like devastating. And Jim Bell had not only the same name as my dad, but looked a lot like him. So the opportunity to spend time in a dark room learning magic with this person, that was kind of my saving thing at the time.
Right.
It's the combination of the magical part of photography plus the really cute male teacher who was like my father's substitute, who also thought I was a great writer. And like, I just felt so much encouragement from him. And it's funny, I have literally not spoken to him since 8th grade. Don't know where he is. Like, I know other people like Elizabeth Tilden have stayed in touch with him. And
oh, really?
So other people like that still know, but he was like my guiding light for a piece of my life. And because he taught photography and just that seems so magical to me, I think that's why it started for me. I mean, yes, my dad took pictures but I hated being the subject of his pictures. Like that was it's funny, I speak to people about this now, about like we were talking, the energetic part of photography, and that there's a vulnerability that has to happen to make a photograph. And children don't necessarily get asked if we are allowed to take their photo. And so we kind of jump in and invade their space and their privacy, and we don't ask. And that's not a great, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I know that Laura, my sister, hated being photographed. She hated being looked at or seen, or she hated the way his photos came out. And I hear this a lot with women. They're like, oh, I hate to be photographed.
Yes.
And I say, but how is your connection with the photographer? Because that's everything. For me, that's the core of it.
Oh, it is. I agree.
And so if it's a man, like if it's a man invading your privacy or your space or whatever that is, and just shooting without permission, there's kind of a violation about it. That,
well, you have to establish trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I know that one of my dad's favorite pictures he ever took was this picture of me crying my eyes out in Paris because we went around the world when I was 4 years old, which, that's awesome. But, I was 4 and climbing on a statue in Paris, and some gendarme was blowing his whistle at me and screaming at me and telling me to get off, but in French, which of course I didn't understand. And, and then my dad, instead of coming to like save me, first he took pictures of me crying.
Yes.
And that really sticks in my head as like, why are you photographing me crying moment?
Well, there's the detached aspect of the photographer as a detached observer, and how complicated being the parent at the same time.
Very, very complicated, yeah. Because I, as an adult, I know it was done with love, and also with just like a almost intuitive sense on his part, like this is important too.
That's
so
right.
I'm actually glad I have the photo.
Yes.
But there is
yes, it's complicated.
It's very complicated. And it is, so yes, I've always treated photography like a trust building exercise.
It is.
And the time when it started to get the most complicated for me was when we all went online. So we all went to the internet, and people started, blogging about their photo. Like a wedding photographer would go to a wedding and then blog about it. And I thought, are you kidding me? Like, my clients are way too private for that. I would never, never share a thing like that.
It's a violation. It's a violation.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel it. And it's funny because, and then there's street photography, which sort of depends upon the anonymous and you're a little like, you're more of an observer. But I find that people who do street photography are so sensitive, like in a way they're not violating people.
That's right.
Because they're so, right?
Yeah. I would like to send you one of my books.
Yeah.
Because I self-published some books. And one I think I'll send you the one I took on Bart. Because I also took one years ago, black and white, of New York subways.
Oh, how amazing. What years?
Well, Bart is pretty recent. It's about probably around 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
New York is in the 60s, I guess. Yeah, 60s. Wow. So it's like, was it Edward Weston, his classic book? Mm-hmm. What is it? Is it Weston anyway?
Weston with the body, like.
No, I'll look it up.
Okay.
Because I thought it not being accurate. But anyway, I think I'll start with Bart, because this brings up the very issue we're talking about now. Because I'm taking photographs, they don't know I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. So that's a very delicate area that we're talking about now. So I would be very interested in your reaction to it.
Yeah. No, I would love to see that. Do you ever see the photojournalist? Sometimes I post his pictures, Peter Turnley.
No, I don't know him.
Do you know him? He's actually he's been doing some nice photos in New York of, people dealing with this virus and on the street, living on the street. And yeah. And there's another guy he's a fashion photographer, Wolfgang Ludes. I don't actually know him other than I know his wife locally, and I know him through Facebook. And he's been doing some beautiful sort of architectural things about the emptiness of Florence. He was in Florence for a while. Now he's back in New York. But Peter's are amazing because he's been photographing Cuba and he's been photographing New York and Paris for decades and decades. And you can just feel his sensitivity, and his writing is so beautiful as well about human condition. So that's why I think that a person who does great street photography is usually coming at it from an introvert's point of view, which is I feel and see everything, and I want to share that with you. And I see the beauty in the daily and street and
daily.
Yeah.
Is Turnley spelled Turmley?
N like Nancy. Tur Turn.
Turnley.
Yeah, there's two brothers, twins, photojournalists, both extraordinary.
I should know about them. Great.
Yeah, you would love them. But no, I'm like, not only do I want to see your book, do you have copies of your book? Do you sell it and stuff like that?
I'm a very definite self-promoter. So no, I haven't marketed them. This is the marketing.
There we go. Here's our marketing. We'll have a link in the comments once I figure out how to edit these stupid videos. But it's so funny.
Before I forget, what is your address?
Oh, well, I'll tell you afterwards, or I'll send it to you because this might end up online, and then the whole world will be sending me things. But here's the crazy thing. Just before I started doing this, and I started doing this yesterday,
yes.
I had this idea that I wanted to create a gallery, mainly for women, an online gallery for artists to sell their whatever.
Oh, Jay.
So now I want to add your book. Like, you could be my first, you're my first client. I'm just going to put links to all the cool stuff.
You were bristling with ideas, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I can't stop.
The way this is starting to take off, right? So what has reaction been to this?
Crazy, like crazy.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know me enough to know that I have no interest in being on the front side of a camera.
I believe it.
You believe it? Okay. But I don't know, something about that, I'm not kidding, that Alec Baldwin video, and watching like all these famous people call all these famous people, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, but I don't know Michelle Obama yet.
Exactly.
But I know like so many interesting people, and people have always said this about me. So it really, today was when the penny dropped, and I realized this is what I do. I normally do it with the camera, and I normally do it like I'm behind the camera, but it's still about the connection. And that's what I love about my work. That's what people love about working with me. So I'm still doing it. I'm just doing it in a different form.
Yes.
And I don't know what shifted that allowed me to just turn the camera on and say, okay, what the hell, I'm going to do this. And then, I don't know if you noticed this, but my boyfriend, Sydney, is Brazilian, and he posts things all the time, and they have typos in them. And I finally gave up trying to correct his typos because I didn't want to be a nag, and I didn't want to be that, that person that I am who like cannot stand a typo. And then I made my post and I misspelled photographer, and he caught it. And I was like, oh my God. The perfectionist in me was just shattered, like I cannot believe I was that, the Berks girl in me who is a writer was like, this cannot happen. And it's funny because I consider myself a pretty good photographer. Not always. Like some people think I'm some genius. I'm like, no, I just do it a lot. I'm a very good writer. Probably I thought I would be a writer before any of these other things.
Really?
And here I am doing the thing that is probably my third skill. Like,
yes.
But in a way, it's my first skill. The connection thing
Right.
is probably my first.
Yes, and the rest, it comes from that.
Yeah, so I just like not going to worry about the form of it. And yeah, I love the idea that my son can help edit these videos. But at the moment, if I have to sit here holding my phone so that I can talk to you, I'm willing to do that because I do.
Yes, to make this possible. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, well, it's funny. My one of my little skills as a photographer, people call me the MacGyver of photography all the time because I'm constantly like just pulling things out of my butt, like, oh, we can just do this kind of magic by using that thing, and like it's all smoke and mirrors, and we just do what we have to do to make a thing work. And like recently I did a photo shoot where I forgot to bring my wide lens. I think because I always visualize a shoot, but I visualized wrong because the weather turned out different. So I didn't have a wide lens. So I shot with my iPhone because it's what I got. It doesn't matter. The tool doesn't matter.
That's right.
Yeah. If you have the vision, you can pull it off. So yeah, you can make a movie on your phone, and yeah, you can.
Oh, I understand. Sure.
Yeah.
The first thing is the idea.
Right.
And then the rest follows. Maybe not in the way you expected, but it follows.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's exciting, the changes that occur because they have to. It's under stress. It really is great.
It's so great. So did you ever do shows or anything as a photographer? I mean, when did you leave Berks?
I left in 95. I'm terrible on dates. I was there for 30 years, wow. 95.
Okay.
I left the year that David Fleischacker, I left the year before David Fleischacker retired.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I fully intend to call him, by the way.
He'd love it. I mean,
he probably would.
He is a talker.
I don't know him that well. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah.
When I went into his office, if I had something I wanted to talk to him about, I had my scenario ready and I delivered it right away because I know he would go off on a tangent. And he wasn't a very professional head of the school. He brought in personal comments, etc.
Right.
And I saw him probably 2 years ago, the last time I went to Berks for a reunion, sort of. And he walks with a cane now, but he's David Fleischacker, and he would absolutely love it, Tanya.
Oh.
He would be so pleased.
Oh, I'm in.
All right.
Wow. It's so funny too. I don't know if you were still there. Were you there when my sister Danielle went through? Does Danielle Malott ring a bell? No. I don't know if she was still.
But that doesn't mean. That doesn't mean.
Yeah. Do you remember me at age 5?
Oh, I remember you.
You do?
I remember you. You had that extra something. You were certainly bright, and you were interested. You had that little extra. You'd go a little bit further.
Really?
Yeah, I remember you very well.
Wow. I know nothing about me from that time.
It's okay.
It's so weird.
You didn't overlap with Jenny Sampson.
Yeah, so Jenny Sampson is...
I'm in touch with her.
Jenny is Juliet's... Oh, wait. Yes, Jenny is Juliet's younger sister.
Right.
My
I know Jenny better.
So my sister Laura and Juliet were super close friends.
Okay.
So I know the Sampsons. Actually, John Sampson, who is the older brother, he and I were classmates in high school.
Okay.
I have to call him too, because he's like he's a Microsoft guy, so he'll tell me not to use Zoom pretty soon. But I don't care. I'll use any platform. Like, give me a platform.
Absolutely. Did you go to UHS?
I did.
Where did you? Yeah.
I did. It's funny. I was sort of forced to go there. I wanted to go to Lick, and because of the arts, because of the shops and all that stuff, I wanted to learn.
Absolutely.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever, to do like wood shop and electric shop and whatever. And my mom forced me to apply to UHS. And then when I got in, I just said yes. I don't even know why. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny too, because my sister went to Haight. Oh, I know what it was. I actually wanted to go to boarding school, and because of the divorce and everything and the timing in my life, and I was the oldest child, my mom was like, no, absolutely not. You're not going to boarding school. And my dad went to Exeter, and of course I liked Andover, and he thought that was like a personal insult to him. And then a girl that was one of my classmates at UHS went to Andover, and I was just so jealous. I was like, God,
okay.
Like, no boarding school for me. But it's, you know what, even the college thing was so hard for me. It was such a hard adjustment, and I cried all the time. And so yeah, I probably wasn't as ready to leave home as I thought I was. But
so you knew Prudy Kohler?
Yes, of course.
Because I'm in touch with her.
Are you? Wait, how do you know Prudy Kohler?
Well, through the Professional Association of the art schools and all of that.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
and Kathy Ryan, who taught with me at Berks for a while.
I feel like she was later.
She was later.
The name rings a bell, but no.
But she was a friend of Prudy's and taught at UHS.
Okay.
And so came part-time to Berks. But I'm still in touch with Prudy. Wow. She did a program she called Art for Lunch.
Oh, I love that.
And I was her assistant.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. So are you still teaching anywhere or anyone? No?
I stopped. So I've just been on my own, doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you also paint or anything like that, or is it all photography?
I'm definitely a printmaker. I majored in printmaking in college. So etchings, lithographs, the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So I've been interested in multiples, I would say. But I love printmaking, everything about it, the smell of the ink, and
Wow. So that silk screening was like right up your alley.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that was, you know what? I take it. I don't even think that was during the regular school. What did they call those 2-week things that we did? Intercession. Right.
Yes.
I think that's when I did it. And I think I signed up for it twice because that's how much I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, silk screen, because it was a little more intensive, and we'd go every day and do the silk screening. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I guess I have to talk to Prudy too. And well, it's funny. I know Prudy more as my art history teacher, which art history at UHS was fantastic. But the person I see more is Bruce Lamott. Do you know? Do you know him?
Yes. Oh yes, I took some of his singing. I did the sing-along Messiah with him.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
I loved him.
He is, so apparently he runs into my stepmother all the time because she works at the Opera Guild, and he's still involved with the opera. And then one of our classmates, Chris Nomura, became a really fabulous opera singer. And he was in a show on Broadway a couple years ago, like an off-Broadway thing. with George Takei.
Yes.
From,
oh, yes. Oh my God.
I know, right? And it was, I cannot remember the name of the show, but it was about the Japanese during World War II, the like internment camps in the US. Right. And Chris was singing. So this whole UHS group got together and went to see, and I actually ended up taking a photo of every UHS person that was there with Chris, with George Takei on the stage after the show. It was so great. I want to say it was only 3 years ago.
Could be.
Yeah, could be. That was what an amazing couple of schools, these California, San Francisco. I mean, I'm a little sad what they've become and how kind of uptight everything has become, but
I know. That's why I say I was so lucky to teach there at Berks when I did.
Yeah.
Because everything is so correct and so proper and so accounted for.
Yeah. Now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It
but
was.
Then,
yeah. Did you know there's a Facebook group called San Francisco in the 70s?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. I don't know if you remember this because you wouldn't necessarily have a reason to know, but like everyone used to have their birthday parties at the ice skating rink, the one out on 48th and Balboa or whatever that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. But those are the kinds of memories that people conjure up in this group where they talk about how San Francisco was in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh my God.
You know, like going to Tower Records was an activity. It was like a full day activity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And when Amoeba was a bowling rink, Amoeba Records on Haight was a bowling. That's why it has the configuration it does.
Oh, well, I never went bowling in my entire life until I was an adult, so I know nothing of bowling.
Well, I lived in the Haight in the 60s and 70s, which were the wonderful years. And that's a whole chapter of my life.
That's like a whole other conversation right there.
Oh my God, yes it is.
Wow.
It is. Yes.
Well, I think we're up to like an hour, so I should probably just wrap it up and say, oh my gosh, we have to do this again. Wait, bring your camera back to you.
Oh, yes.
Wait, bring your camera back.
And you'll send me your address so I can send you the book, and so we'll continue this link.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to figure out how I can, you know, sell your book through my soon to exist, but not currently existing gallery.
Oh, Lord. Well, keep me posted on what happens with this and the other people you'll be talking to.
I will. Sure well, I'm just going to keep posting it. So you have to follow on the YouTube channel because I may not link them all to Facebook. I may just, I don't know, because, you know, it's an hour, but I think it's a really interesting hour with my people.
I love this, Tanya. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
this is just like my crazy, awesome, happy place here.
To be continued.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, I'm going to take a picture of it. Wait, wait, come back. Come back to your video.
Okay.
I'm going to do a screenshot.
Okay. Well.
It says pause. There we go. Okay. Ready? Okay. Okay. Look toward the nice light because you know what that is. Fabulous.
Okay.
I love it. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Tanya. Bye.
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know about you, but I totally love that. This is too much fun. Like, am I allowed to have this much fun? All right. So this is my video number 2. I'm going to end it here. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.